Let's talk about black sheeps, shall we? Um, okay, so there is this topic I came across many, many times in my life. If you've been for quite some time in the, personal development field and spiritual field, you probably heard at least a couple of times this expression, black sheep of the family. And I what I want to say is that you didn't need to be the black sheep as from the early on to finally become one. And I want to talk about freedom, inner freedom, and changes and transformations. So the black sheep, that's the kind of child who was visibly and noticeably, does this word exist in English, um, different from early on. Those kids, they usually know about it at some point, that they are the black sheep. They, even if they don't know expression, they feel it. So there are those kids who kind of who are like underachievers at school, right? Who are like extremely, for example, shy and closed off, who are, for example, first artists in a family of, I don't know, professors of physics or something. Um, they are kids who, love to spend hours and hours, for example, alone, not social, or I don't know, they love playing and being in at nature and speaking with trees and ghosts or whatever. So these are those kids who don't match the system, who don't match their families. Very often being the first kid in God knows how long time, or in all time of the family tree, who are visibly different, visibly not matching, visibly obviously challenging the family and the line. And so yes, I always had a little problem with this, because that wasn't actually my story. I couldn't identify myself with that, even if, because the other part of the black sheep is it's a person who just as I said, challenge the family, the line, go it's somebody who go their own way, right, in the way how they think, what they choose in life, how they live. Sometimes it's in some parts of life, sometimes it's completely in everything. So even if I could today consider myself as one, because the way how I changed and everything changed is like really 100%, pretty much. I will maybe come back to that later, but so yeah, there will be a little story time, personal story time. So me, even if I was super sensitive kid, very somatic one, and deep inside, I kind of didn't match, but I wasn't aware of that, like my inner world, and yeah. So, but I wasn't aware of that. I discovered that like long time ago, like later. So from the childhood. So I discovered that in my self-reflection and self-discovery times. Um, but I was, in the same time, I was the kid that was the just 100% pride, and the everything that the family could wish for, right? So I was having amazing grades. I was studying very, very well. I had often some, extra school hobbies and curriculums. I was really a good kid. I was helping in the household. I was taking care on, feeling myself as an example for, kids around me. So in the family, I was the oldest of kids from our generation in our closest family. In the neighborhood sometimes, so I was also sometimes helping in some things, for example in studying to some kids around me. I was very graceful, very kind to people. I was just this kid that everybody was looking around, was like, oh, I'm sure she will be like one day, you know a doctor, whatever. Like, I don't think they said I would be a doctor, but I remember one of my top favorite teachers of all time, my teacher from history class at high school, um, predicted I will be a president or a wife of a president. So, in front of the whole high school class, she was making predictions at the end. Like, it was, a little joke, but a little nod. Who will we become? And I was going to the church, just, and also, to show you the scale of that. I remember when, again, also around end of the high school, and thinking about uni and what to do with my future. I remember, I think it was one uncle of the family, like, said something that I will be most likely the first person in the family who will have PhD. I don't. That wasn't really my what I planned and what I wanted to do. But just to tell you, like, describe you the picture. And but from the moment when I was, obviously when I was young, and at some point I was partying a lot and everything, but because I was such a good girl and such correct in everything, like outside, I had a green light for that. So um, and then, when the moment of first, like, separation from my the environment, when went abroad, was the first moment. Because, if you've lived abroad, you know how it works. It's an amazing mirror, right? When you go to the other country, to the other culture, especially if you stay there a little longer than just a touristic, excursion, um, you have a mirror, right? You see different things. You see things that you had no idea, or that earlier on, that exist, or in a sense of people, how people think, how people behave, how people live, what they believe in. Now, obviously, with the internet, it's more it's easy to have access, but still, I believe, like, life in person experiences are just of a different weight and value. So that were the first moments when I started to have some, light coming into my mind about what I really believe in, and how it all actually works. And then, when moving out from my parents, with finishing uni and starting my, separate adulthood life with the full-time job and everything, this started to progress. And obviously then, personal development and spirituality finding me, because that was really how it happened. Everything just accelerated, because I started to dive deep in purpose, into my psyche, into my emotions, into my spirit, into my body. And it turned out, because that's obviously never, there's always a process, right? So it doesn't happen overnight, but it started with me seeing the first area of my life when I started to see that something is missing in here, like something is not really working in here, something is just wrong, was the church. So that was the first area in my life that transformed it completely, like my connection with spirituality and God. Like I quitted church because I didn't, like, so many things didn't work for me when I started to really dive deep in how things works and in myself, and that was the first area. But actually in the end I can say, I can tell, even if I am in transformation all the time, because I'm, you know, making different decisions, very courageous very often, you know, I'm continuing diving deep into myself. So obviously living like that, you are always in a transformation. So I am in a transformation and always will be, probably, most likely. But from that point on, I started to, you know, change the way I lived and the way I saw and the way what I wanted in all, really, in my case, that's all life that changed. Like the way I live, my lifestyle, the way how I see world, uh, my relationship with God, my relationship in general, how I spend time, what I believe in, how I see systems, everything, how I see work, everything. Obviously, there always has been in me some true parts, right? And actually, if we have this capacity and skills and knowledge on how to observe really neutrally our kids and kids in general, I believe they are these elements of truth about them who show up early on. So I had this part in me as well, but my life completely changed so many times in all of the areas by very often not only looking and observing, but very much in practice. Like I was testing everything as crazy to, you know, find my own opinion and the way I want to live. I guess I believe I was, you know, searching for a freedom that I understand as something we do have inside, right? So I wanted to be in truth and in alignment of what is true about me and this life, my journey, and everything. For some people, it's not that dramatic. In a sense, it's not always right about whole life. And as I said, it didn't happen for me overnight. It's impossible. It was a process and still is. But because, you know, you probably know, right? It comes from what motivates us to change. Like there are two things. It's suffering because we feel sick, unhappy, uncomfortable, not good, not matching in areas of our lives, or in the way we live. Or there's second option, or can be both. The second is desire and inspiration. So we are here, but then we see for the first time someone living here this way working, this way having lifestyle, this kind of relationships, etc. And we're like, oh my God, it's wow. I want the same. I really want it so bad. I want to have the same kind of life, right? So these two elements I was experiencing a lot. And that's why the journey, that's why the transformation. What I want to say here as well is that And what I just want to say probably in here is you don't need to, you didn't need to be the black sheep. Use it as a metaphor, right? To find out one day that actually like to almost like wake up one day and feel like you would be paced, right? To someone's world, not yours, actually. And obviously that's a dramatic, overdrawn picture to show you my point, but obviously it happens. The thing is that people usually don't want to see symptoms. It's always progressing. And one day, if you are super good at ignoring the truth about yourself, you might wake up and feel like you would be control X, control V, like literally paste in the place you live, in your relationship, in your job, whatever. For me, like the 2020 was a quite interesting line for that, because so many people started to wake up and see that actually the life they've been living hasn't been, maybe never, or maybe from that moment on, there anymore, right? You probably have heard some people from your friends group, from work, from your family, from your neighbors who had this kind of experiences in different parts of their life. And I see and I think and I believe it's progressing, this trend. So I believe there is, and there are gonna be more and more people having this experience. So even though you haven't never identified yet earlier before as a black sheep, or searcher for a freedom, or of the truth of your life and of the life in general, you may find yourself one day, and that's okay, and that's completely okay.